I would like to consider myself a hard person to scare.
You can't get through, right?
And I know up to this point I've made over 7 different videos going over games that do in fact give me the heebie-jeebies, but there are very few games where I'm genuinely afraid to continue playing. Cry of Fear is one of them. Cry of Fear is an indie horror game released in 2012 on Steam. Unfortunately, due to the overwhelming amount of creepypasta games made by Russians on Unity,
Hello, I am game developer, and I
I'm
love
sorry.
Unity.
Cry of Fear got lumped into the pile of unplayed free horror games. However, Cry of Fear is anything but your average Unity game. Instead, it's a Half-Life mod, but this time in Sweden. Man, the city of Sweden's so beautiful at night. The PNGs are fucking stunning. Cry of Fear was made by Team Skytescaler. An incredibly small team of developers, which took over 4 years to finish making Cry of Fear, including having them to playtest their own game.
With such bad mothers.
In Cry of Fear, you play as Simon, a Swedish man who suffers from depression, loneliness, and aggression.
We're not so different, you and I.
Now, Simon as a character is completely different from your average video game protagonist. Gone is the beefed up super soldier taking out armies with his bare hands, and hello to having girls goodbye themselves after you admit you have a crush on them.
I've always liked you, Sophie.
No! No, no, no! No!
Now, it's clear just by looking at this poor fuck that he's not all there mentally. Throughout the game, Simon constantly gets angry and reacts robotically to things happening around him, although that might just be from some creative liberty in the voice acting.
I want to know just what in the fuck is going on here.
And the Oscar goes to...
One thing to highlight about Cry of Fear's environment is that on the base level, as you go through the different areas, nothing feels out of place. Usually in horror games, they try to make the environment look more decrepit and outer-worldly. However, in Cry of Fear, it's like the game's trying to trick you into thinking you're in a recognizable environment. Of course, as Simon traverses farther into areas like the apartments, they start slowly changing, and things like boarded up doors, metal bars blocking paths, and furniture gorilla glued to the walls start appearing. The sounds in the apartments are the usual ambience you'd hear in the environment, but in this case, these sounds being the main soundtrack for the stage feel anything but comforting. However, there are occasionally more in-your-face sounds, such as windows breaking and an MP3 of a woman crying. Each room is designed to feel claustrophobic, this being highlighted further when the game makes you fight enemies in these rooms. Since every room is the size of your $3K a month studio apartment, there's very little room for dodging enemies' attacks, forcing Simon to take damage. The combat in this game is almost like a dance, constantly stepping back from enemies and getting a swing in before you get hit. With practice and in larger, more open areas, it's pretty easy to get into a rhythm without taking any damage. But locations like the apartments, where the furniture is taking up the majority of space, makes taking damage almost guaranteed. In the beginning of the game, you'll be given a switchblade as your melee. You have the choice of either using the switchblade on its own, or dual wielding it with another item such as your phone, which can be used as a light source as it can get extremely dark in certain stages of the game. Later on, Simon will find a handgun which will drastically increase your comfort levels, not needing to close the distance between enemies. However, this, similar to many things in this game, comes at a downside. Since you normally need both hands to operate a gun properly, if Simon is dual wielding with his phone, he won't be able to reload, forcing you to unequip the flashlight in the middle of combat to reload your gun. And just a little detail I like, if there's still bullets in the magazine when you reload, just like real life, the entire magazine gets dropped, and any spare bullets left in that magazine are gone with it. It creates a dynamic of deciding to reload your gun for a bigger safety net, or sparing the remaining bullets and risking taking massive amounts of damage. Other guns, such as the shotgun and hunting rifle, require both hands to operate, sacrificing the luxury of vision for a more lethal shot. Now, the enemies in Cry of Fear feel more like Simon's manifestations of fear. Each enemy is a distorted humanoid figure, having features similar to humans, but mixed with grotesque alterations.
It's floating.
It's a floater!
When Simon does enough damage to them, they'll actually just end up killing themselves before Simon even has the chance to. While some feel intentionally placed around just to scare you, the game will occasionally create a red herring just to throw you off when exactly the scare will happen.
Dude, please, God, I need a fucking syringe. Stop. They fucking spawned one behind me?
Each enemy in the game has distinct sounds designed to give away their position. This lovely lady in particular having metal spikes on her hands and feet, creating a constant sound of metal hitting the floor. And sometimes the game will just use sound alone to create panic. Take this scene for example. The game places you in a very tight corridor, with paths going in all directions, leading to dead ends. And then this happens. Oh god. Oh god, no, 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 no. Oh my god. Holy fucking shit. That was the worst. That was the fucking worst. After going down the stairs, it then strikes you that there was never really any enemy chasing you, but the game purposely increases the sound of the chainsaw and makes you panic when you turn into a dead end, just to prove that at any time, this game can decide to fuck with you and control the pace at which you play. Oh! What the fuck? What the fuck was that? How the fuck was that fair in the slightest? But at the very heart of Cry of Fear lies a complex narrative, where the player thinks if everything Simon is seeing is reality, or just his blurred perspective on a world corrupted from loneliness and years of chronic mental illness. The game has 4 different endings, all depending on little choices you decide while playing. I would really recommend you be in a good headspace when playing Cry of Fear, and the game will warn you of its side effects before playing every time you load it up. Cry of Fear has one of the most depressing but creatively unique stories from any free game I've ever played. I don't want to go because I'm fucking afraid that they're gonna have the train fucking turn on. No!